It's going to be a hard act to follow, but
Now for something a little different.
now for something a little different. Yeah, I don't. We're not anticipating a lot of emotion in the audit committee meeting this morning. So exactly. Yeah. James, I think we'll go ahead and call the roll.
For the state controller, Ms. Bakeland. For the state treasurer, Mr. Seha. Ms. Vargas. For the state superintendent of public instruction, Mr. Yamanaka. And for the director of finance, Ms. Whitaker. Madam Chairwoman, you have a quorum.
Okay, great. Thank you. So the first item is approval of the committee agenda. Could I have a motion to approve the agenda? A second? Okay, all those in favor of the committee agenda say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, the next item we have is just on the consent agenda. It's approval of the minutes of our March 27th ARM committee meeting. If people have had a chance to take a look at that, if there are any changes. Do I need a motion to approve that? Yes. Yes, okay, so I need a motion. Lynn moved approval? Okay. Nora second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, so agenda item number 3 is our committee charter for review. Mr. Jensen?
Yes, periodically we review the committee charter, and the board has delegated certain oversight responsibilities to the Audits and Risk Management Committee as outlined in the charter, which include financial reporting, risk management, internal control, compliance, internal audit, and also external audits of the organization. The last charter revision was in September 2016, and that's when compliance responsibilities was added to the committee charter, as well as oversight for implementation of that. In reviewing the charter, we looked at certain model charters and also charters from other associations such as Texas and New York teachers' retirement systems. And specifically, some of the changes that were made were with regards to the composition of the committee. And the charter currently calls for designating at least one member of the committee as a financial committee or an audit committee financial expert as defined by the SEC. And this language, I think, was added to the charter written back in perhaps 2006 when Sarbanes-Oxley was first implemented. And best practices today, primarily for non-listed companies or for organizations such as us, suggest that audit and risk committee members should collectively possess sufficient knowledge for areas of responsibility and to retain an expert if necessary that do possess such qualities to advise the committee appropriately. So we made that change, reflected that change where we don't have to designate a committee member and it's really collective responsibility. We also revised the meeting period to at least 3 times a year, and we added some specificity around risk management responsibilities to kind of separate out risk management from oversight of the risk framework. And so those oversight of the framework really falls upon this committee. And then we also included some items around the committee's responsibility for compliance, and Dina is going to outline those for us.
Yes, thank you. So as Larry mentioned, in September of 2016, when enterprise compliance was placed under the responsibility of the ARM committee, we added item number 8, which referenced the design and implementation of the compliance program. Since the transition of enterprise compliance under audit services, we are proposing 2 additional oversight responsibilities to include item number 9, which is the oversight of the effectiveness of the program and the system for monitoring compliance. As the program matures, the committee's oversight role will move from the design of the program more to the implementation and the activities that the enterprise compliance program will be performing. Also, item number 10, which is reviewing the annual compliance plan and receiving periodic progress reports of our compliance activities.
Thank you. And so attachment 1 is a markup version of the charter, and a clean copy is included as an attachment 2, and happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Great. Just maybe before we go to the committee, Dr. Yatman, do you have any comments on the proposed changes?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I do, just very briefly. So I discussed these changes with Director of Audits and Director of Compliance as well. So I'm well aware of the changes. I support the changes. They're simply more consistent with practice we see now. And some of the items that were in there are a legacy from the Sarbanes-Oxley Act, which was passed, and organizations attempt to address best practices. And sometimes the wording that went in there is not what we would find as best practice today. And so I would like the committee to note that the increase in the compliance is very consistent with where the compliance program is right now. It's developing, and you can expect a change in a couple of years as well. Once it's designed and implemented, that should be taken out. And the committee's responsibility should be more fostering the compliance efforts through and reviewing the results of those. But I support these changes, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Great, thank you. There aren't any actually questions from the committee. So this is an action item to approve the revisions to the committee charter. Can I have a motion? Oh. I don't have anybody on my, oh, I'm sorry, yes. So, okay.
Yeah, so this is more of a clarifying question. So on number 9, it says, review the effectiveness of the system for monitoring compliance with applicable laws, regulations, and policies. My question to you is, and maybe it doesn't have to be incorporated with the charter, but I just want to make sure that I'm making the assumption that we're also getting feedback from the actual users, right? So the folks on the ground who are part of this program, that they're actually providing feedback as well. Is that, I can assume that that's part of that, and it doesn't have to be actually spelled out at all? Okay, all right.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nora. Are there any other questions?
Happy to make a motion to support.
Okay, I think Nora just made a motion to approve the revisions to the committee charter. Is there a second? So Lynn seconds. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstentions? Okay, thank you. So agenda item number 4 is the committee work plan for fiscal year 2019-20. Turn it over to Larry.
Yeah, this is an opportunity for the committee to review and provide input on their fiscal year 1920 work plan. The draft work plan is included in ARM 17. Similar to prior years, many of the items are included in here as we've included in prior years because they're required to be presented to the committee by auditing standards for both internal and external audits. And the committee governance will focus on including ongoing education for the committee, review of the internal audit charter, as well as audit services quality improvement program updates. And additionally, the committee will continue receiving education on items specifically to their responsibilities. And I have a to be determined on there right now for the July, and in conversations with Madam Chair. We've also talked about including some education with regards to roles and responsibilities, with regards to risk, compliance, and audits, and kind of bringing it all together, and how does that work and fit together. And I think we're coming up with a great opportunity for new members of the committee to continue to receive education in that area. As you can see, November is our most significant meeting. It includes our financial statement reports. That's where we hear from our external financial statement auditor. They express an opinion on our the preparation of our financial statements and the presentation of our financial statements. They also discuss any findings that they might have or management letter comments. We also have our internal audit plan presented there, as well as a financial report summarizing the benefit payment modifications. Dina also will address some of the compliance issues that are included in the plan.
Yes, thank you. So moving to the 3 times a year plan, in July, we will be giving an update on our 2019 plan. It'll be our mid-year progress report. In November, we will present our 2020 compliance plan to the committee for their review and approval. And then in March of 2020, we will do a year-end report on 2019 plan activities.
So, yeah, one of the main topics I forgot to address, thank you, Dina, for reminding me there, was that typically in the past, we've had 4 meetings per year, and we're proposing for the first time this year for 3 meetings. Typically, our May meeting like this is a pretty light meeting, and so we thought we could consolidate some of those activities, and some of it falls into that November area, but we felt like, you know, we'd still be able to work through it and only have 3 meetings per year, so. So any input from the committee and suggestions? This is our draft. The draft will also be presented for approval at the July board meeting. And so appreciate any input or comments that you might have with regards to this plan.
I have just one question. So looking at the presentation of the compliance plan, so I know in July we'll get a mid-year progress report. November we'll get the 2020 compliance plan. But I guess if we find that when we run out the rest of the year that there might still be items from 2019 that didn't get fully completed or might require modifications to the 2020 plan, we can take that up in March. And sort of looking at year-end 2019 and then seeing if there's any kind of course correction we need to make for the 2020 year based on what we accomplished this year.
Yes.
Okay.
I would see that we would handle that similar to we do like with the audit plan, the annual audit plan, and that if there's any changes to that plan or modifications to it, you know, we'll bring those to the committee as well for, you know, regardless of the timing of it. Yeah.
Great. Yep, and then I think I would just underscore, Larry, the comment you made that November will be, is typically, you know, the sort of most intense ARM committee meeting, given the report that we received from our external auditors. So we'll want to make sure that we've got adequate time on the schedule for that meeting to cover everything thoroughly. So I've got one question from Keith. Let's see here. Okay, go ahead, Keith.
Thank you. Just for background, does the audit, I forgot the name of your unit, but audit services have any involvement in that the state leadership accountability
The
act?
State Leadership Accountability Act.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so we do have a role in that, but our role is a monitoring role. Primarily, our enterprise risk management function takes the lead for that implementation of that act, also for reporting of it. But ours is a monitoring role with regards to implementation of the recommendations for any risk mitigations or corrective actions.
Okay. So it comes to the board in a different committee, or is it reported? I mean, is SLAE at all, although it's a management one, is it ever reported to the board?
Yeah, we haven't.
Okay.
Although I would say is that you know, it's those risk items that are included on the enterprise risk report that is presented to the board that are included in the SLAE report, but that, you know, it's.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, because isn't it put up on Department of Finance's website, the CalSTRS, I mean, all state agencies, but CalSTRS report is put up there, so maybe it might be good just since it would be available to the public, maybe the board in some way, some committee, whatever would be appropriate just for us to be able to get a heads up or something.
Yep. Sure.
Okay, we'll discuss that and see where to include that, which appropriate place for it. Thank you. It's a great suggestion.
Hi, I'm Phil Burkholder. I'm your Enterprise Risk Manager. So the SLAE report, we're required twice a year, or twice every other year. Thank you. And we report every 6 months if we have corrective action items. Larry is absolutely correct. That is made up from our enterprise risks that we have in there. Then you do see those as part of the reports that we do twice a year. Also, once we submit our report to Department of Finance, it goes on their website, and then we're required to post it on our website too within X number of days. So it is available to the public in 2 different ways.
And I think maybe what we can do is, it sounds like the information that we report and that is made available to the public is information the board receives in the enterprise risk management report. So we do get that, but maybe what we'll do is just make sure that, Julie, when you present it, we make that connection so that people are aware that this information is also being disclosed additionally through the Department of Finance.
Yes, we could do that.
Okay, great. Thank you, Keith. Okay, I think that was just an information item. So agenda item number 5 is the chief auditor update.
Yes, just want to let you know that we're on track with completion of the audit plan. We don't have any substantial revisions or updates to it at this point in time. We are continuing to meet the plan objectives. On a national level, we do participate in the Association of Public Pension Fund Auditors, and CalSTRS will be hosting, once again, that conference in October of this year, and so we're excited about that. Just to let you know, our financial statement audit is well underway. Audit Services participates in facilitating that process, and the work, the heavy lift, will begin here shortly. They've done some preliminary work already, particularly around the area of information technology, investments, starting looking at valuations, and then also for our third quarter close of our books. And so just want to let you know that we're facilitating that, and we're looking forward to the heavy lift here shortly, and then the November meeting when we present the results.
Great.
Unless there's any other questions, that concludes my report.
Yeah, no questions. So next item is our compliance director update. Dina?
Thank you. So at the March committee meeting, Enterprise Compliance reported the results of our compliance risk assessment, where 10 risk domains were identified. We are currently developing a monitoring plan to monitor and analyze those 10 risk domains for alignment of compliance risks with ERM and the internal audits risks function, documentation of existing risk mitigation strategies that currently exist here at CalSTRS, and identification of any gaps or overlaps in existing processes. This process will help support an ultimate integrated assurance that all risks at CalSTRS are being addressed and mitigated appropriately. There will be a fully developed monitoring plan that will be presented to the committee at the July meeting. It'll show our scope of work, our tools, and the steps we're going to be doing to implement our monitoring plan. And that's all I have, unless any questions.
Great, thank you very much for the update on the progress on both of those. Any, got no questions from the committee on that one. So agenda item number 7 is review of information requests. I don't think we had any, nope. And then we have agenda item number 8, which is our draft agenda for the next committee meeting. Any,
Just
Mary?
one amendment to that. Item number 5 is our internal audit plan progress report, not a new plan. So that would be a progress report, similar to item number 6.
Okay. Great. Any questions on the draft agenda? Okay, opportunity for statements from the public. Got no one in line, so I think audit committee is adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.
So it looks like we could
So Jack, why don't we come back
at
at 1
1?
for a regular voting?
Yeah, let's do it.